Hello everyone. Welcome to DI Easy as Pie, making the most of your math small groups. I'm Rochelle and I'm excited to be your host for today's webinar featuring the one and only Kim Adsit from Kindergals. We'll get started with Kim's presentation in just a moment, but first we have a few housekeeping details for you. For better audio-video quality, close other applications like Skype that use bandwidth. If you are having any audio or video issues, try refreshing or changing your browser. We will be using the question feature today since everyone is muted during the webinar. If you have a question, type it in the box. Let's practice now. Everyone find the question box and type where you are from. Looks like we have quite a few participants from all over. Thank you so much for joining us today. You will receive a certificate of attendance for attending today's webinar live. Your certificate of attendance will be emailed to you within 2 days. We here at ESGI are thrilled that so many of you have registered to learn with Kim today. Thanks to all of you who are dedicated to helping children and families. Today we will be giving away 5 awesome prize packages. A 1-year ESGI license, $75 worth of products from Kim's TPT store, and everyone will receive Kim's sample unit. Now, I'm going to turn it over to Kim. Let the learning begin.
Hello from Georgia. So let me just tell you a little bit about myself. Probably a lot of you already know, but I'm married and have 2 grown children. Both my daughter and my daughter-in-law are teachers, so we're a family of teachers. But while I love those, the most important part of that family about 4 years now, but my daughter Megan is still in the classroom, so I can go over and hang out with her. And I started presenting as a practitioner in 1998 when, just like a lot of young teachers do now, I presented some and taught most of the time, but became full-time as a presenter when I retired. So in today's session, what are we going to talk about? Well, here are some of the main questions we're going to look at. Where do small groups fit into the math workshop? So where do you put the small groups? What are the other kids doing while you meet with a small group? And how do you use flexible grouping? And finally, how do you differentiate without having to plan 3 separate activities? Okay? So first, let's look at the math workshop structure. What does this time look at? Now, in our room, it lasts an hour. I'm often asked, what do you do when you don't have a full hour? And here's what we know. The brain would rather see something all 5 days for a shorter period of time to get that pattern in there and to get that repetition. So if you don't have a full hour, don't skip math. Just do it for a shorter amount of time each day. So what is the structure? Well, first we're going to do a mini lesson. Mini lessons last 10 minutes. And then after that, we're going to go to work time. So we call this application time. It's where the kids can apply everything they know, everything they've already learned. So this is when differentiation occurs. The mini lesson is not differentiated. It is spot on with where you are working at that time. My quick 5-minute math talks. Okay, so first the small group fit into the entire math time. So in the mini lesson, we also have a structure. We really want to think about this structure. Think about that day when your kids are like all kinds of wackadoodle. It's probably because you are off your routine. Okay, you're off your routine. You're not doing things in the routine that you usually do. So the brain loves pattern. So in the mini lesson, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to do a connect. And connect is when we say exactly these words. Remember yesterday when we, and we just remind them of what we did yesterday. Then we go to the teach, and this is where we say, today I'm going to show you, and we name what we're going to do. It's important to give it a name so that we're developing the academic vocabulary. And then after that, we show them, we demonstrate. The biggest part of the mini lesson is the active engagement. This is where we say to the kids, now let me see you try. And right there, the kids are going to practice whatever we just modeled. And at the end, we have the kids repeat. So we say, so remember, boys and girls, today and every day, and we repeat what it was that we taught them, and then the kids turn and tell each other. Okay, so that's just a real quick outline. Here's a few examples of some things you might would do in a mini lesson. So one day we were working with some cheese crackers, and we had drawn a Venn figure out how to make different shapes using our smaller shapes. Or how structure, and the kids draw a picture for the word, and then together we work together to generate the definition. Okay, so far we're up to the mini lesson. We're 10 minutes in. So what we're going to do is after each section, we're going to stop and we're going to let Rochelle pull us out a name for the prize winner. So Rochelle, are we ready to announce our first winner?
Hi, Kim. Yes, we are. And the very first winner is Jennifer Lambert. So congratulations, Jennifer Lambert. If you will just hang in there for the rest of the presentation, then you will expect to receive an email from the SGI and from Kim Adsit about your grand prizes. And Kim, do you want to tell her what she won?
Okay, so you're going to get a free year of ESGI. That is a $200 prize, so that is amazing. Plus, I will send you $75 worth of products that you choose to your liking out of my TPT store. Of course, now remember, guys, if you don't get your name called, everyone's going to get 2 free games in the sampler unit. So, woohoo, first winner. All right, so now let's move on. Let's look at centers. So what are we doing during math centers? Well, first of all, the biggie is who goes to centers. So one thing that we did was we worked to develop what's called a family. And families are a group of kids that work together but don't play together. So if you see these kids playing together on the playground, they're not in the same family. You want to and then, your intervention kids. You want to put one kid in each group that really does school well. They know where the things are. They know how to get things out. They don't sit around and wait for you to pass things out. But these are the kids that they go to literacy centers with. They go to math centers with these children. Anytime we need to do group work, here's who they do it with. Once I get this figured out, and at the beginning of the year, it usually takes me probably, 6 or 7 weeks to get it figured out. But once I get it figured out, they stay with these same kids all year. So those are our family groups. Now, where do they go? Well, I have 5 different areas for my 5 different groups. So what I did was I took each of our headings from our math standards and made each heading a center. So the kids are going to go to one of those areas. You see the little hippo over on the side? That's a picture of one of the center tags. So I have 5 of those in my room, and each one is a different animal. So the kids are able to look on the center rotation board and see exactly where they're going to go. So each day it moves down. So they are going to one area and they are staying there the whole center time. This was huge because it made it where the kids were not running all around the room. They were staying in one spot, and there was better quality of work. The kids are not mingling with the kids that you really don't want them to mingle with. Okay, now, when they go to these centers, there's 2 different kinds of things to do over there. There's what we call a have to, and this is something that they all have to do. We're using our centers just to maintain the things that we've already learned. A big example of this is like if you do a unit on shapes back in September, and then come the end of the year, if you've not mentioned shapes again, your kids are not going to remember them. So this is a way for us to maintain everything we've already learned. I'm going to pull from these center groups for my small group. So what kind of things would be a have to? Well, in the data area, they might be making a spin graph where they spin the spinner and then they tally their results and then they color in a graph to match what they did. Or in the measurement area, we might be measuring how tall we are using some kind of unit-related clip art and then recording that. The have-tos always have a recording page because that's how I can keep up with when they've done it. I want some kind of evidence to let me know that they finished. Or in the geometry area where when we were doing the book Mouse Count or Mouse Shapes, the kids made a mouse using the different shapes. Now I have 2 activities that are under the number. One, number combinations. If you want to know more about work jobs, you can go to my blog at Kindergals and in the search button type in the word work jobs. You can type in the word math attack because that's what these that's the unit that these game boards came from. But on my blog, I show you a bunch of different ways you can make your own. Okay, so when they get done with, well, let me show you this first. This is how I store the centers, the have-tos. And get the tub that matches the sign that's in their area. One thing you'll notice is there's yellow and green is because we use the same system for literacy centers and for math centers. That way I'm not having to teach 2 different ways, you know, to rotate and manage. We use the same exact way. Now, when they get done with their have-to, they have to stay in the same area. So what are they going to do? Well, then they have can-dos. The first thing you can do really is go back to school when you go back after the holiday and go through your closets and pull out anything that is math. Your number math puzzles, your lacing shapes, your lacing numbers. Hold on just a second. Andy, come in for just a minute. And then you're going to pull out your nesting blocks, anything like that, to put in the centers, in the can-dos, okay? Let me show you a picture of some of the things that we would put in there, like Unifix cubes to make a Unifix pattern, or pattern block walls with the pattern block shapes. I love the little snake. Katie Mincy, who has a blog called Little Warriors, she has great little sets that I can use each month to put into my can-do centers. Or music books to go along with a lot of the Sherry Sloan songs. Sherry has a blog called Kids Count 1, 2, 3, 4, where you can get her music. Or games. Any game that I've taught them at my small group table that we've played over and over and over again, I can put that as a can-do. So here's how I store them. in each of the 5 areas, I have one of these stacking 3-drawer money. Well, yeah, it was a lot of money, I'm not going to lie, but and I put a Xerox box in each area, and the kids just reached in the box and got the things out. Now, the question comes up like, how often do you have to swap these out? Well, I swap out my have-to centers every week. So every week, 5 activities. But these can-dos, they stay in there the whole month. They only go there once a week. So if they only go there once a week, they're really only in each set of drawers once a month. So if there's 3 different activities, the chances are they're not going to even do all the activities. Plus, if they go over there and pick an activity they've done before, then I'm okay with that. Don't worry about that. Now, let's let Melinda pick us another winner. Melinda, are you there?
I am here. Thank you very much. So guys, I just want to, while we're on this little break, I want to tell you that I know we're having some audio problems, and I believe Cam is trying to call in from a landline as an attendee, and when she does, we're going to unmute her, and therefore it will help remedy this situation, so I apologize. And if you want to put in the question section anything that you may have missed on an earlier slide, maybe she can address that at the end, and we'll get that to her. So while they're calling on the landline and we're going to get her all set up with her phone so we don't have any further audio problems, the second winner that I have for today's presentation is Gina Thompson. So congratulations to Gina Thompson. You just won some fabulous prizes. So Kim, are you good to go? Do you need a couple more minutes?
So what are we're going to the phone instead, is that right?
Yes, we're going to go to the phone, and then when you call in, we'll unmute you, and then we shouldn't have any more hiccups with the audio, which would be great.
Okay, I'm on my phone now, so we'll see how that works.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, sorry about that, guys, but you know that's how technology is. When it works great, great. When it doesn't, back up and punt. All right, so now we're to the small groups. So we've got our mini lesson, we finished that. We've got our kids working in centers. Everybody is with mixed abilities, so there's somebody in every group who knows what to do. There's somebody in every group who knows how to get the materials out. So now we're ready to start our small groups. So let's start where we were picking our families. So those groups stay the same. They're fixed group. But now we want to go to flexible grouping for our small groups. So what I'm going to do is each day when I get ready to teach, I'm going to look at what standard I'm teaching, and I am going to group my children according to where they are on their understanding of that standard. This is the biggie right here. Your small groups have to be based on formative assessments. There's no way that you can just pick a group and start working. You need to know that every lesson you do is directed right toward the right kids. So how are we going to do the assessments? Well, I decided for this webinar that we would think about if we were planning for conceptual. Okay, so I did a little video of a little boy doing the hands. So he had already counted 3 beans in my hand, and we had already done that. He got that with flying colors. So I just eliminated that from the video to save some time. But I'm going to show you this quick video clip, so let's hope it works, and see him doing the assessment with Megan. Megan was actually doing this with him.
All right, now what I want you to do, I want you to count 4 beans into my hand. Count them as you put them in my hand. 2, 4. Okay, all right. So if I have 2 and 2, 1 and 3, 0 and,
You missed one.
oh, whoops, 0 and 4. Okay, good. All right, now I want you to count 5 beans in my hand. Count them one at a time as you put them in my hand.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. 1 and 4. Okay. 2 and 3. 3 and 2. Okay. 1 and 4. Okay. 0 and 5. Okay. All right. Now I want you to count 6 beans into my hand. 2. Count them one by one, please, as you put them in my hand. 6. There's 6 here? 4, 6. Okay, good. All right. 1 and 0 and 6.
I messed up.
3 and 4. 2 and 4. 3 and
3.
okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, so here's what we noticed. He got right, he got everything right with number 4. Perfect. Number 5, he did really well on 2. What we're looking for is that he was accurate, he was getting them correct, and that he was automatic. He was getting them correct quickly. That's called automaticity. But when we got to 6, he was getting them right pretty much, but he was pausing. So what we know is this little boy needs to work on 6. So we're going to take our necklace, and every child has one of these number necklaces, and we're going to punch out 3, 4, and 5. Now this comes in handy for centers and for your mini lesson, because if I'm doing a mini lesson where we're building Unifix cubes towers, every child can wear that necklace, and each child is counting out the Unifix cubes to match their necklace. If they're going to centers, each child can wear that necklace, and then when they get ready to, if they're in a number station and they're doing number combinations, they know exactly what number to work on. Okay, so now let's look at, if we were going to do this on ESGI, instead of doing it in your hands, you could use the assessment that's got this. The cool thing about ESGI is that right there on the right. Okay, so then after we mark it, we have a bar graph. And what's really cool is you can click in the gray or the green, and it will show you the kids who got it right and the kids who got it incorrect. That's how you're going to form your groups. If they do not have the combinations correct with automaticity, then they go together. I can take the assessments that I did. I can also print out a parent letter and print them out flashcards to practice at home. So that's kind of like an extra bonus. Now, let's get back to our small groups. So we've done our assessment. And so now we're ready to start our groups. So on Monday, I'm going to call my on-target group first. I'm calling those my grade level kids. That way, hold on just a second. We're still having a few technical difficulties, so let's see if we can figure out what's going on. All right, I'm still I'm hoping y'all can hear this. We're having a little bit of difficulties. But anyway, on Monday, we're going to start with the on-target group. And with the on-target group, these are kind of the kids that are right on grade level. And we're going to go to each center, and we're going to get the kids that are in that group. Now, these, remember, are flexible groups based on the assessment. After I get done working with them, I send them back. So now they have to do the have-to. Kids have finished up. They've moved over to the can-dos. Kids. Now, there's no need in trying them really beneficial. So on Tuesday, I'm going to finish that activity up with my challenge group and then start a new activity with my on target. So you can see it's pretty much an ABC pattern. But on Friday, I'm seeing my intervention kids for an extra session. So I'm seeing my intervention kids 4 times a week, and I'm seeing my other 2 groups 3 times a week. Food for thought here. Don't ever start with your intervention kids, because when you start with your intervention kids, when you start with them, what happens is that the other kids are finishing up, and then when they get over there, there's no one over there to help them with the have-to. Also, as the teacher, if you're doing an activity for the first time and you pull a group over there and you mess up, don't mess up on your intervention kids. These are the ones that are like, after you've told them the wrong way, and then you say, oh, no, don't do it that way, do it this way. And you try to tell them another way, what's the right way. So we want to practice things out on our kids who are the most forgiving of our mistakes. Okay, so let's review. We're going to pull our small groups from the different center groups. We're pulling based on formative assessments. You don't have to meet with every group every day. And we're going to start with the kids we think will get it. Kids first. This leaves a role model for was a question that I got from a lot of you. How are we going to differentiate our small groups? Well, the first thing we want to look at is this, the conceptual, pictorial, and abstract. It's easy for me to remember this because I say CPA. Everyone needs a good CPA. What is this? Well, I've decided to put some slides in to kind of show you the difference using dominoes. So this would be doing number combinations with dominoes at the conceptual level. Here's the easy way to remember. Conceptual equals manipulate. If the kids are not manipulating something, it's not at the conceptual level. The key here is this. All learning should occur at the conceptual level. Okay? Now, can clip art be conceptual? Yes. If you have run off a pile of apple clip art and the kids are counting it and gluing it down on a piece of paper, then that's conceptual. Okay, but now look at this. This is pictorial, where the children are drawing a picture. In this case, they're used a bingo dotter to show a combination. And then the last way, which is the most difficult way, is the abstract way. And here's where we would show that. Now here's what we want to know. Children can answer things at the abstract level and still not understand what they've done. So when children come to you and say, I know 2 and 2 makes 4, if they can't draw that out for you and explain to you what it means, then they just have rote memory. That is the difference between memory and fluency. We're trying to develop fluency at these. Fluency means I have automaticity. All right, now, believe it or not, we're ready for another prize package. And then I'm going to show you some different activities that we can do. All right, you there, Melinda?
I'm here. Thanks, Kim. And so sorry about the tech issues. I'm not sure what it is, but we're going, so everyone knows we're going to work on this and splice the audio over the presentation before we broadcast it on YouTube and send out the link to all the attendees. So we'll get this fixed so you guys will hear everything that you may have missed. So the third winner is Sarita Coop. Sarita Coop. You're the lucky winner number 3.
All right. Woo!
Congratulations.
That's an early Christmas present, right? Okay, so what is the structure of the small group? We know who we're calling. We've made our assessments. We know who's going to be together. And we know the rotation that we're going to use. So now let's look at what the structure of the small group actually looks like. So when the kids first get there, we have free exploration. And what that means is while I'm walking around to get my kids for my small group and I'm making sure that my other kids have started in their centers, I always have the materials that we're going to use for the activity already on the table. That way when the kids get there, they can go ahead and free explore with the materials. If we don't do this, then when you go over there to try to do your activity, they're wanting to play. Okay, the next thing we do is we're going to do some fluency practice. So if we're working with that group, let's say on number 5, then I would want to back up and practice number 3 and 4 again to make sure that we're maintaining that learning. Then we're going to do our new activity, and then we're going to collect our data. Okay, so what would that look like? Well, here would be some examples. Our math activity, and they are exploring with it. Okay? Then we go to fluency. So if I'm doing number combination, I can use any of these little trinkets that I've gotten from Oriental, and I would just take, like if I was using the penguin one and we're working on number 5, I would just have 5 of the penguins, put some on the inside and some on the outside. Okay, so I would, if we were working on 5, I would do that for 3 and for 4, and then I would start my new activity. Or if we're at Christmas time maybe and we're talking about Santa's cookies, we might practice fluency with some of the little cookie cereal. All right. Or how about our number cards? I could give them each a number 3 card, and we could do different combinations for number 3 or number 4, whichever number I wanted to practice. Or we could use these flip cards where you see the 1 dot at the top. If you open that card up, underneath you see the 5 cards. So I would show it to the kids and I would say 1 and then I would open it up and they would see the 5. Hopefully they know it's 5 before I open it. All right, or maybe we're using a rec and rec where we have each color pushed to the edges, and then in the middle we're showing different ways to make whatever number I want to work with them. What I want you to notice is that all this fluency practice is at the conceptual level. When you get done with this webinar, there's going to be things that you decide, yeah, I'm going to do that. Other things you decide, that's not really my style. But one thing that we all want to take away is the importance of the conceptual. Flash that card to them and have them tell me how many more to make 5 level. So if I want to practice at the conceptual level, I just give them a blank circle and have them use the 2-sided counters. And I say, put 4. How many more to make 5? Okay, now put 3. How many more to make 5? Okay, same thing here with the 5s frames. If I'm showing them just the cards and having them tell me how many, that's at the pictorial level. But if they have a blank 5s frame and they're putting in my 2 and then their 3, then that would be at the conceptual level. Okay? Now, how about your activity? So you've done your fluency practice at the numbers that you've already taught them. Now we're ready to do some small group activity, So this is the first game I'm going to show you, and this is going to be one of the games that you're going to get in your free sampler, and it's called Where Are the Bears? So what I did was I took a cave, and if you'll look up in the top corner of her paper, you'll see an arrow pointing to the bear with a number 4. That's because she is working on the number 4. That would be the net number on her necklace. So what she has done is she has 4 bears counted out. She has 1 under the cave and then 3 in front of the cave. So on her recording page on the bears, the one in front of the cave, she would write a 3, and the one behind the cave, she would write a 1. Now, what's cool about this is when I get my next group over there and they're working at 7, I'm using the exact same game. All they're doing there is going to be counting out 7 bears instead of 4 bears. Okay, or how about this one? This one's called Tower Town. And here they spin the spinner. Whatever number it lands on, they color in that many circles. That many squares on their tower. Then they color in the other squares on their tower using another color. So the difference here is the spinner that I give them and the recording page. Now this spinner is for combinations 6 to 10. If I have kids doing combinations to 5, then they would have a spinner that only had the numbers 0 to 5. All right. Now this is an easy peasy game. It's one of those games that you could do tomorrow. So here's what they're going to do. And this is another one that's in your freebie. So all they do is they take a pom-pom and they throw it onto the game board. Whatever number it lands on, they put that many robots, those are robots, that many robots onto their Unifix train. Now that's not a 5's frame. That long thing that he's putting the robots on is whatever number he's on. So if he was working on 4, that would just be 4 boxes. If he's working on 10, they would have 10 boxes. All right, so he's going to put his 4 on there. Then how many more does he need to make whatever number he's working on? Okay. Or how about these number bonds? Now, we've probably seen number bonds before on paper, but these are just plates I picked up at the Dollar Tree. So what they've done is they've got all the buttons over into the big side. So if there were now let me tell you something that my very smart friend Catherine Coons told me about. When we are working with number combinations, here's how we want to say it. We want the kids to start with the whole number. So it should be, I have 7 buttons. Then they go to the parts. I have 4 buttons. I have 3 buttons. Then they push them all back and say, I have 7 buttons. Here's why that's important. Kids, before the I'm trying to think, developmental age 7, before developmental age 7, they do not have conservation of number. That's according to Piaget. So if the kids do not have conservation of number, here's the problem. Take 10 beans and put them in a line. Put 10 beans in a line right underneath those, matched up 1 to 1. Ask the kids, does this row have the same as this row? As you point to the top and the bottom row. They're going to say yes. But then you're going to spread that bottom row out. And you're going to say, does this row have the same as this row? They're going to say to you, no. You say, why not? And they say, because this row has more. So they think just by spreading it out, it has more. So think what we do in addition. We take a sum and then we divide it out. So if they don't have conservation of number, they think that when you divide it out, you have more. All right, so we want to show them how when we push it back over there, we have the same amount as we started. So again, it should sound like this. I have 7 buttons, and then you have 4 buttons, I have 3 buttons, I have 7 buttons. Okay? Now, here's another thing we do. My kids love these photo books. So what I did was I took my kids and I put 4 kids together and I took a picture. I put 5 kids together and I took a picture. I made those into the covers of the book. So you can see my number 4 book. So inside that book, the kids are going to glue down pictures of their friends to make a combination of 4. So if you looked at the other picture, that little girl was working on number 8. And you can see the text box that I've given her. I have 8 children. Then they write how many girls, how many boys, and then back again to I have 8 children. Okay? So what we've done here is we have solved the problem conceptually. Now by using numbers or numerals, they have recorded their answer in an abstract way, but they have solved it conceptually. That's what's the most important, is really how they solved it. Okay, or how about this one? We had read a book about 5 little penguins. 5 little penguins sliding in the snow. One fell off and bumped his toe. Mama called the doctor and the doctor said, no more penguins sliding in the snow. So when they came to my table, here's what I did. I took the penguins. Now, the book was about 5 penguins, but if they're working on number 3, I just use 3 penguins. If they're working on number 5, I use 5 penguins. If they're working on number 7, I use 7 penguins. Okay? So what you can see up at the top is they could see those 2 penguins. Now, I've pulled the tray out for you to see the picture. In this shading cream that they had to write the number of how many were hiding under the table. So we had 2 and 3. Think back to when you were in school. What was that called? Where you had 2 plus box equals 5. If you remember, that was called missing add-in. But if you think what that really is, that is 2 plus x equals 5, which is algebra. That's why the number combinations is under algebraic thinking. Okay, now, if you remember when you were in school, think back to all these things we've done at this conceptual level, and then think when you took algebra. I was good at algebra. I made an A. But here's what I want you to know. I had no idea what it meant. I didn't know what, I knew how to do the problems. I knew the routine for the formulas. But I really did not understand conceptually what was happening. So if we think about our role as kindergarten, first grade teachers, it really is to have the children understand conceptually what is happening when we make our number combinations. Okay, so if we go back and review, here's what we've done. We started off talking about the structure of the workshop itself. We had a mini lesson that lasted 10 minutes. We had our work time that included centers and small group. And then when we came back, we're doing our number talk. Now, I'm not going to be talking about number talk in this webinar, but it is something that I can do a blog post about if there's people interested in knowing about that. When we went to different kinds of children. They stay with their family group all year. So they go to their center area. They stay in that area the whole math period. They do their have to, then they do their can do's. I'm walking around and collecting up the kids I need based on my formative assessment. I can print out my groups right on ESGI. If you need help with that, ESGI has a ton of videos on their website where you can find a video to show you how to use almost any part of their program. And then I'm going to do my small groups. I'm going to do 2 small groups a day. Okay, so if you have any questions that I didn't answer, be sure and give those to the ESGI in the question section on your webinar, and they're going to give those to me and I'm going to answer them. But right now I think we're going to pull our final winners. So are you there, Melinda?
I'm here. So we have 2 more winners to wrap this up. And the first winner is Yvette Wren. So Yvette, thank you for joining us and hanging in there with us since the beginning of the broadcast. Congratulations. The second and final winner for this session is Sherry Klein. So Sherry Klein, you're the final winner. We have 5 total. If you didn't win, you can join us again next month for another fabulous broadcast, and we will have solved our audio issues by then, hopefully. So Kim, thank you so much, and back to you.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for tuning. Well, I'm humbled and proud that you did. But I hope you all have a merry holiday and enjoy your kids the last day of school, because I know for a lot of you tomorrow is that last day. But you'll be looking for a blog post, and I'm going to answer your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Please check your email for your certificate of participation and your free unit from Kim. Thanks so much for joining us, and thanks for your patience with the audio issues. Take care and have a good night.